Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? They say the camera adds like 10 pounds. Maybe it's like 20 or 30. I've definitely started gaining weight since I started making videos again, so got to get back on track. Oh well, this video really has nothing to do with my health. I'm gonna make a video response to Nolinquisitor. He really didn't make a video to respond to as such, but he said something in his recap video of our last game of All for One Regime Diabolique, and it opens up a great subject. And he talked about meta awareness. And he gave a couple examples in the game where he thought maybe he should have used a little bit more meta awareness and operated with more knowledge than his character might have had. And we already assured him, like, no, dude, you did the right thing. This was awesome. But I'll talk about this because I've talked about this subject before. But these examples are great. So if you haven't watched the game, there were two moments where his character Jean Marie did not know something. And the first one was we were in this room, and there was a bunch of crows flying around the room. We were trying to save the Queen of France from these crows, and they're flying around. We're just waving our swords around as musketeers, very ineffective against these crows. But Runesinger's character, Martin, notices that one of these crows goes to the dresser or whatever, has something in its mouth, and begins to fly towards the window. So he yells, I believe, to my character, Philippe, to help him get this bird. He wants the bird. And so my character, one way or the other, notices that he's kind of after this bird. So we are jumping, trying to catch this bird. In the meantime, Sebastian's character, Jean-Marie, in his mind, he's just, he really hasn't, nobody's directed anything to him and said, hey, you see this. Nobody shouted to him. And so he's trying to shoot these birds out and save the queen. So as we're trying to jump and dive and grab this bird, and I almost catch it and don't, he's like, no, get out, get out, get out. This is great. The bird gets away. We end up like chasing and having this merry chase afterwards. That was fantastic. Even though it didn't help us fulfill or accomplish our objective at that particular moment, this was cool because this is what his character would have done. I personally would not want him to operate out of the in-game knowledge as a player and say, okay, well, my character stops and somehow for inexplicably knows that we should all chase this bird at this point. I find it much more satisfying for him to just continue to act. That's just like watching a movie. And of course, part of it is I like to laugh every once in a while too. So I like games to be a little bit comical. I don't want them to be a slapstick festival, but little moments like that, that's one of my favorite scenes in the entire game. The next session where we had a really cool scene where once again he did not use any kind of meta awareness was we're in this clearing. He's geared himself up as a monster hunter. Jean-Marie is crazy, and he's had some bad experiences. So he's got like all this gear on and whatnot. And on his character sheet, Francois was running the game, JDR8030. He noticed that he's got things like silver bullets on his character sheet. I think like a silver knife. But these are things that presumably he's saving for when he meets the werewolf that killed his son. And I guess from Nolinquisitor's standpoint, as he's explained this, his character isn't, he's not stupid, but he's not a genius, and he has not, realized that maybe you need silver or all kinds of enchantments or whatever it happens to be to kill all sorts of, bad creatures of the night, which we are likely to run into in this game. So he just hasn't made that mental connection yet, that maybe he needs to use this on other occasions. And we had no idea what we were going to run into. We were going to a convent of nuns, and he just has a mistrust of women at this point, because, especially societies and matriarchal societies, because he keeps running into witches and almost getting killed. So, we're in this clearing, and all of a sudden out comes this Wendigo. And none of us know that this thing can only be hit by silver, or damaged by silver. So at one point he takes this great shot. It's kind of the first attack at this Wendigo, and Francois smiles and said, "So what kind of bullets are you using there?" And smiles. And to me personally, this is kind of like a, if you'll forgive the term, a little bit of ball busting. It reminded me of those times, like sometimes when we're 13 years old, where you attack something and it can only be hit by silver or magic in the old D&D games. And the game master would say, "So what silver weapon are you using? Do you have one?" And of course, everybody knows you don't have one on your character sheet or what have you. So it was funny because Nolinquisitor said he was a little taken aback, and you noticed that he just kind of stopped for a second, and he wasn't going to use meta awareness in that scene. He had to make a decision, and we're all kind of busting his chops too, like in the chat feature of Hangouts. Say it's silver, say it's adamantium, blessed by the Pope, and everything else. And of course, he takes the high road, which I really liked. He takes the high road and said, "Well, no, I'm just using normal bullets." And of course, this does not affect the creature. And later on, we managed to kill it with the one silver dagger we did have. And it was just kind of this, thing that we just kind of figured out. His character figured out, and threw that dagger at the creature. But I like that when you're not using some kind of awareness that you have as a player, but your character wouldn't have. Even if it meant that we were all going to die, because I'll tell you what, if he used a silver bullet, the fight might have lasted a lot less time. And to be honest, in that game, it was very close. Like, my character was really close to biting the dust. One bad die roll, and that would have been it. And it possibly could have killed the entire party. But I still would have found that much more satisfying. And if he had decided the other way, okay, that would have been a different road we would have taken. But personally, I'm glad he took the high road. To me, some of the most entertaining moments in gaming and satisfying moments are like when the players know something, but one or more characters do not. And we have to decide to play these characters, or can decide to play these characters true to the character, where they simply don't know something. So they do things that may be inappropriate for the situation. They may do something that tactically might be stupid. They might have motivation. They may know darn well what's going on. I've made videos about this before, but your character literally would do something different, maybe not the optimal thing in the particular circumstances. And of course, I've talked about before, it's also very satisfying to have those moments where you as a player don't know. I talked a long time ago about being in a Lamentations of the Flame Princess game, where literally I missed a session and something happened. My character died. I said, hey, I have to go, I have a gig that night. And so something had happened, and the other players did not tell me for months what happened, and my character and I found out at the same time. This was also very satisfying. However, most of the time in games, that's not what's going to happen. Everybody at the table knows darn well what's going on, but maybe one or two characters, maybe all the characters don't know. So to me, I'm in favor. I don't think those were bad scenes or moments that Sebastian should have changed his behavior. I'm thinking, like, bravo, man, that was awesome. Those are two of the best scenes in the entire game, and it's really hard to pick best scenes because that whole game was just like awesome. But those are funny, and not just funny, but it's what his character would have done. And that little moment of tension where he shoos the bird out, and we go, oh, we lost it. And a bigger moment of tension where we're all just kind of waiting, and we all realize, hey, this is going to be completely ineffective. And he kind of hesitates and says, yeah, well, I'm using these normal bullets. That's what I would have put in the gun. And we all know what's going to happen. But it was just an incredible moment of tension, and it was very satisfying, even though we had the fight of our lives. So that's my little spiel on meta awareness and why I'm not really into it. Don't want to base character actions on it. And that, at the end of the day, you did nothing wrong. This was awesome.